to find a good, established number one quarterback, and I don't believe that if you trade Carr, that it's going to be as simple as if you're drafted a first choice. That's not always the best choice either. So sometimes you got to luck into those guys. Look at Watson and Mahomes. Those guys drafted after Mitchell Trubisky. I could bet your bottom dollar that the Bears wish that they had those guys instead of Trubisky. It would be a lot further along in their development offensively.
Yeah, I heard that actually the Raiders was looking to pick up Goldberg and Brock Lesnar because they heard that the transfer from WWE to the NFL is a good thing. So, and I heard also that maybe Hulk Hogan's going to come back too. So, why not do that, John? Just pick up some NFL players, to go to the WWE and see what they got. Just take your chances. Look around. Maybe Ronda Rousey wants to play football with you too. Just go ahead and go to that area.
Well, they're going to be going to Vegas, like you said. So, I mean, you're going to be able to watch them probably firsthand if you take up one of your Vegas trips there, Jester, and you may be able to watch them.
Can you imagine
live
that circus at Las Vegas? I don't want to put myself into that. I'll probably walk out with a stab wound and a bottle to the head. And just out of victory, we'd probably win, and the Raiders would probably just start attacking each other like a wild dogs, like and just punching each other in the face.
I'm surprised maybe you haven't been attacked on the mean streets of Flagstaff for wearing a Raiders hat. Maybe I don't know if it's something that's already happened. I had to kill a man once.
I went to Oakland last year and watched the Dallas Cowboys Raiders game, and it wasn't as brutal as I thought. Oakland fans actually were very supportive, and that stadium, though it sucks, it rocks for a football game. And I think that them leaving Oakland is pretty shitty, but them going to Vegas isn't a bad move. I remember when I was younger, they were actually talking about coming to Arizona, and you'd be surprised how many Raiders fans there are in Arizona. Las Vegas, they're all over the place, and I think Las Vegas is going to be a good home for them. I just don't know if it's going to be a place for them to turn into a Super Bowl team like they would in Oakland. And there's a lot of history in Oakland, so I think that that's the one thing that is going to be missing.
It's been brutal. It's been brutal for the Chargers as far as that move to LA. So hopefully it's a little bit better situation for the Raiders moving to Las Vegas than it has been for the now LA Chargers moving from San Diego, because I know it's been a struggle for them, finding their fan base up there.
So my son comes in and shows me a football videos of the old days of back when Bernie Kosar was playing football.
Oh, and taking it old school.
Yeah, he was showing us a video of the intentional grounding rule, which he went to pump it, and then he didn't throw it on the ground first, so then he threw it again. I think they're going to call it an incomplete pass.
No, but then remember they go back to the back play before.
Oh.
And they say he didn't complete the first yard because that was the first down.
Oh. So my son's bringing in football stuff. So speaking of that, with the rules of this shit, I don't know if you saw that too, the whole NFL rule going in about the tackling the quarterbacks too. As a former football player myself, I think at some point, not to get off topic about the Raiders, which I could probably go on for the next hour and a half, the protecting the quarterback thing to me is bullshit. Because as a defender, I want to see blood. And I was telling my son about that. When I played football up through college, my goal was always to get to the quarterback and take him out of his game. Because that's the leader of the team. If you can put him out of his abilities, then it kind of dismantles a team. And now everybody's like, oh, we don't want to hurt anybody, and we don't want to take them to the ground. As a fan, that's what you want to see. You want to see brutal. These are gladiators out there brawling. We want to see that stuff. And I think the NFL has taken that away from us as a fan, and they've kind of taken away the point that football, these players choose to play. What happens to their body is their choice. They chose this profession. Let them go out there and just battle. Bigger bodies, obviously, are better. Let's not take away the fact that we want to see violence.
Yeah, and that's at the bare bone, a lot of the people's entertainment coming from that. And I used to be of the, you know, man who would have loved that, helmet to helmet hit that would take, guys out and just to clobbering them and stuff. But, in the recent years, especially with the NFL's legacy and stuff too, of these players that are, having a rough life, after the game, I don't think it has to be as vicious of that as much as, the bloodthirsty nature of us would like to see. But on the same token, you have to let the play through. And if the player doesn't look like he's maliciously trying to break bones in the quarterback, but he's just trying to make a solid, good tackle to stop this quarterback from, making his play because he's doing his job as a defender, you gotta have a line that's drawn there, And sometimes when that play follows through, yeah, there's some nasty hits that are, intentional afterwards, and that's up to the referees. They have enough time to review this stuff to look at a play and say, hey, was this intentional or not? And that's what these plays have to be judged on. Too many times the flags are thrown and it looks like, the game is being influenced one way or the other depending on which way they want it to go.
Do you think that people like Joe Theismann are looking back and saying, where the hell were those calls when I had my bones sticking out of my leg on the ground after Lawrence Taylor dismantled me on the ground? Or some of these quarterbacks who are drinking juice through a straw, and that's their meal for the day because they are like, why didn't you stop Lawrence Taylor or Howie Long from dismantling my face? But as a fan, you want to see that stuff. You want to see the violence. You want to see the quarterback squeal in pain laying on the ground. And everybody's like, oh, we don't want to see that. We don't want to see him get hurt. Well, then don't play football. You know what I'm saying? Don't play football.
And we might as well be watching flag football when it comes to tackling the quarterback because that's essentially what it has become this year. And, the hits are going to be vicious. It is the nature of the sport. No matter what you can do rule-wise, and I know why it's, we both know why it's being done. You're trying to preserve the stars of the game. You're trying to keep them on the field. That's what's drawing the money and stuff. You're trying to have, the scores inflated because you're seeing offensive scoring. Everybody likes the scoring and everything comes from there. But, it is taking away, some of the integrity of the game. It's taking away the abilities of some of these defenders to do what they do best because now they have to worry about, am I going to have to, cushion this quarterback because I tackle him at the same time? Who's thinking about that? You're thinking about your play. I want to stop this quarterback. I want to tackle and drive him down so he can't make a pass.
Do you think that's taken the quarterbacks now is why you see a lot more quarterbacks running for the first down or diving into the end zone because they know that they're protected?
Yeah, I think doesn't the rule once they leave that, pocket and other stuff, then they become like a runner, right? So a lot of that stuff is, and that's obviously subject to whatever the on-field referee is going to determine as, hey, was that excessive if they hit him, obviously tackling him outside of that. But, he does open himself up more to being hit, than he would in the pocket when he takes off. But, if the quarterbacks feel like, hey, I can do this now without worrying about, the repercussions, yeah, you might have some more gutsy plays, ballsy plays from the quarterbacks trying to do that. But if I'm a defender, I feel like my nuts are cut off.
That's where I think it's bullshit now, man. It's bullshit because now quarterbacks are like, no one's going to touch me. It's kind of like that kid you would see playing flag football when it's two-hand touch or something. And you're like, I touched you. And he's like, no, you didn't. And he keeps running for a touchdown. And he's like, touchdown, fuck off. And you're like, that's bullshit. I touched you. That's where I say that it's becoming now quarterbacks are feeling more brave because then now they're protected. I think that's why you see them diving head first into the end zone. They're diving head first for a first down, and the players are backing off because they're afraid if I hit them too hard, mom's going to come out of the back room and punish me and take me to the woodshed and say it's my fault for hurting my little brother. So at this point, I think that quarterbacks are starting to feel like they're untouchable. And like you said, pretty soon they're just going to have a flag on them. And it's like you can't tackle them. You just have to run by and grab them. That's it.
Pull their flag off. Who told? What happened first? Did he pull the flag out of his pocket, or did he throw that completed pass?
Yeah, we better
Let's
watch
check
that.
the review.
Yeah, check it, and that's what it's going to be. And it's ruining the game of football because I think the violence is why I watched it. The violence is why I played it, and that now is why it's like saying UFC now is pretty soon going to say no more shots to the head. You can only punch them twice in the head per round. Rest of them have to be body shots and no choking. Then
Well,
no
it
one
is
would
kind
watch it.
of what is. I mean, I mean, you had the UFC being accused of cockfighting before, and then the rules tapered off. So I mean, it's like you got the human fighting with fighting with rules, which some could say that's oxymoron, but it's trying to humanize the nature of it, where it's more grappling and submission work with occasional shots to the head. But
That's not why we
in
watch
football,
it.
yeah. But yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, this is a savage. We have the bare nature of a baby is what? To be mischievous and nature. So you still have that nature. That human nature wants to see the car crash. They want to see the the explosions. They want to see the disasters. And yeah, of course, when you see those players go at it, you want to see them full throttle. But at the end of the day, you also do have to remember, whether they choose it, because it's what they were bred for or not. They're human beings under those helmets. And at the end of the day, the NFL being the business it is, always money driven, they want their cash cows on that field. They want those quarterbacks still standing so they could draw the fans in there, make their money, draw the ratings in there, make their money. So all these rules are catering to that bare bone nature, whether you want to see them destroyed or not. The NFL says otherwise. They want these guys on the field so they can make their money from that draw. And yeah, it's going to take away from the appeal of the game, because at the end of the day, you're going to get the flag football-esque mentality. And nobody as far as I know, wants to watch flag football.
Yeah. My take on it is more violence, less rules. All right. So we're gonna go on to as we wrap this up for fantasy football. So I play fantasy football. I have two teams, and I play fantasy football with you on one of the leagues.
Yes.
And the one thing we were discussing earlier is how pissed off we get when we bench players and they end up performing. And I think at that point we should be able to write to them personally and tell them that we're disappointed in their actions, and that they should perform every week so we can continue to get our points for the fantasy football program. Because I disagree when I bench someone because they're having a shitty week or shitty 3 weeks, and all of a sudden out of nowhere they're being used. And one of those players, I will tell you, is from the Bears, called Cohen. I drafted that guy, and that guy for the first probably 3 weeks did nothing. And now he's a standout. He's actually doing really well.
I made a mistake of dropping him in the league that you and I play, because at the time, Jordan Howard was starting to catch a little bit. They were using Howard. The offense still wasn't being high octane like I expected it to be, because I drafted a lot of Bears. I had Mitch before you picked him up. I had Gabriel. I had even more, a couple guys. I had Miller. I had Cohen, Howard. I said, okay, one of these guys, some or multiple of these guys are going to explode. Well, okay, so most of them did not early on, and I ended up dropping most of them. Kept Howard because Howard had been a proven commodity. Of course, Cohen, as soon as they have the bye week, that's kind of why I dropped them. Of course, they come back, and Cohen is a juggernaut now. Howard is nowhere to be found in the Bears' offensive scheme, and I'm stuck watching Cohen produce all these points on another team.
What the hell? And then another guy for me is Amendola. I picked him. Okay. He was a standout in New England. He goes to Miami. I pick him. He's shitty for the first 4 weeks. I'm like, he's not getting enough touches. And then all of a sudden I look at he played, and he gets 11 points when he's projected for like 5. So it's like, dude, seriously, I want a connection. I want to write him an email and say, what the fuck, man? Why all of a sudden are you deciding to play hard? Why don't you play hard when you start? But I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden they decide they're going to throw to him, and he gets more. He is a good flex player. He's a good player if you put him on your roster, and he's one of those guys like Cohen who can come out there and perform, but it's hit or miss with some of these players, and that's the frustrating thing about fantasy football.
The regret is one of the biggest problems. Now, I also have a baseball league where I have a rule that it's everybody plays, so you have no there is no bench. Everybody is in the starting lineup, so to speak, unless you were to take a couple of your pitchers, which there's only two.